Saturday, it's time to stream in to win the week in fantasy basketball. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and like Anthony Edwards, my head also came into contact with a rim last night. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnba. That is linkedin.com/lockedonnba to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We're available on all platforms. So go and give the thumbs up. Go and double bang. Go and subscribe. Notification bell. Most importantly, don't unsubscribe. Come on. What's that? Don't need to unsubscribe. Thumbs up, bell, comment. Bleh. We know how it all goes. Let's talk Saturday. There are 7 days. No, they're not. Well, there are 7 days in a week, but that isn't what I was going to say. I was going to say there's 7 games on Saturday. And we've got to make sure we are really buckling down, whether it's to win our first playoff matchup, whether it's to win our matchup to get into the playoffs the next week, whether it's in Roto to solidify what we're doing, or whether it's just to accumulate knowledge and get some category wins in to help us for the playoffs that start in 2 weeks, or whatever it is. But we are 5 weeks away from the end of the season, so we've got to really be paying attention to what we are doing here. So let's get into these games. Early game, 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. So be aware, get your lineup set early. 4 p.m., that's 8 a.m. for those of us here in Australia. Assuming that I haven't melted from the temperatures over the next 3 days. Not going to be ideal, but anyway, that's fine. The Chicago Bulls take on the LA Clippers in this first early game. The Bulls play on Saturday. That's the end of them for the week. And then next week, they've got 4 games. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. That's a pretty strong schedule. 4 games in the first 6 days of next week. The Clippers, they got a back-to-back this weekend. There hasn't really been any issue with Kawhi or Paul George sitting those back-to-back, so we're all right there. And then they have 4 games next week too. They go Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday next week. The only player currently on the injury report is Russell Westbrook. I'm not including Zach LaVine or Pat Williams. We know that they're out for the season. I want to watch Andre Drummond because we are seeing putrid Andre Drummond at the moment. The small avocado is doing nothing. And with Torrey Craig back, I think that the Vucevic-Drummond combo minutes might be on their last legs. Maybe we get it when they play against a Timberwolves team. Oh, but yeah, we thought maybe they'd play the Timberwolves. Well, no, I knew they would play the Timberwolves on the 31st of March. But there's no Towns anymore. So do they even go back to Drummond in that situation? Probably not. So, Andre Drummond, get that garbage out of here. But we always want to watch. If we want to see him go back and play 20 minutes and cross over with Vooch, then it gets more interesting. For the Clippers, well, Ivica Zubac has been playing really poorly. He was benched for the second half last game due to apparently his illness. But even then, the upside for him is quite low. And look, this schedule's really strong, the back-to-back, but you have to worry. Is he still feeling the effects of the illness? Can he go big minutes in the back-to-back? Because they've got we're talking about the next 9 days. They've got 6 games. That's pretty solid. But Zubac isn't really doing huge amounts. We're not adding Plumlee, we're not adding Tice or anything like that. But we are sort of watching what Zubac does. Guys that are boosted, Dosunmu continues to remain boosted for the Bulls, and Storm and Norman Powell with Russell Westbrook. He gets a lot of shots. He doesn't do much more than that. But there's always some points and threes value in Norman Powell with Russell Westbrook out. A lot of guys on the injury report for the next one. It is Brooklyn. It is Charlotte. The Nets go Saturday, Sunday. So the only 2 teams with the weekend back-to-back are Brooklyn and the Clippers. So we've just talked about both of those. And then the Nets have only 3 games next week. They're coming off this 5-game week. Their next game is not until Wednesday. So the Monday, Tuesday, 0 games. Not good. And then they go Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday. So like we said before, they had a great 5-game week, but an absolutely putrid schedule coming up because they play 1 game in the first 5 days of next week. Meaning, if you've tried a Lonnie Walker, if you've dabbled in Dorian Finney-Smith or Dennis Smith Jr., you don't want to hold for 1 game in 5 nights. After the weekend, you drop them. For the Hornets, They play Saturday, and then they have 4 games in 6 nights to start next week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. A great schedule. They also play on Friday this week. So this is a back-to-back for Charlotte. We know Ben Simmons is out for the season. Cam Johnson's going to be out, I'm guessing, all weekend and probably a couple of games next week too. Maybe he's back for that Wednesday, but I would suggest that Cam Johnson probably doesn't return until the following Saturday, meaning that you can drop unless you've got open IL slots, as always. I don't have an update yet on Cam Thomas or Day'Ron Sharpe. If Sharpe's available, he will play the back-to-back. If Thomas is available, I'd say there's a risk that he doesn't play the back-to-back coming off the foot/ankle and the team is terrible. So I think that, look, if Thomas is borderline, he'll sit Saturday and play Sunday. So there's more opportunities for other guys there. The one that's probably the most important, Thomas is important, but the other one that's most important is Tre Mann. Now, Tre Mann is still currently listed questionable, I believe. I'm just going to double check this to see if anything's changed. Tre Mann, I believe, is questionable still he's questionable for Friday's game with a groin issue. So there's got to be some risk that he plays in both or either of these games. So, I've got Tre Mann questionable. We know LaMelo Ball's going to be out. Let's be serious. Cody Martin's out. Seth Curry's out. And I'm not even including Mark Williams on this graphic anymore because he's going to be out for the Nets. What do I want to watch? Well, Nick Claxton's playing like 33, 34 minutes a night. Is that because Day'Ron Sharpe is out? Or is that because Ben Simmons is out? So let's see. If Sharpe comes back, does Claxton move back to 29? Or does he keep rolling at 33, 34? Because 33, 34 for Claxo is a pretty strong number from a fantasy perspective. Guys getting boosted at the moment. Lonnie Walker, we know what he is. He's a points guy. He hits some threes. He does nothing else. And as long as Cam Johnson and Cam Thomas are out, there's good stuff there for Lon. The other guy getting boosted at the moment is Davis Bertans. I don't think he's going to sit on the back-to-back, but he does have wonky knees, so there's always some sort of a small risk in that for Davis. But he's getting big minutes. They're not really going to any guys like JT Thor or anything like that. We're getting 20-plus minutes of Bertans. He's hitting a lot of threes. He's scoring pretty well. He's even chucking in an occasional block. So Bertans is getting a nice little boost there for the Charlotte Hornets. Next one is Dallas and Detroit. So Dallas plays Saturday, of course, and then 4 games next week, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday. Detroit's on Saturday, and then they go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. So similar schedules for these two teams for the upcoming 9 days. The injury, Derek Lively left the last game for Dallas, didn't return. That was towards the end. We haven't really had an update on that, so I'm going to put him questionable. And then Quentin Grimes has missed the last couple with that knee problem for the Pistons, so obviously not entirely right here. So there's a chance that I think he misses some more time here. For the Mavericks, what do we want to watch? Well, we want to watch Dan Gafford because he started last game. He played 21 minutes. He was serviceable. Starting gives you more minutes upside. It gives you a higher floor. Will they continue to start him? I would suggest because they won that they will. That is how abuse legend Jason Kidd likes to work. He's a terrible coach, and we see this time and time and time again from Jason Kidd. First season he comes in, the team looks all right, and then everything falls off because he cannot coach. He just cannot. It's how much evidence do we need? Anyway, so he'll stick with Gafford because they won. And we will see what ends up happening. His minutes could rise here, Gafford, if Lively is out, but otherwise I think it's going to be a 3-way mess. Jaden Ivey was great last time out, but the games prior to that, he barely got to 30 minutes. Which Ivey is the one that Monty Williams wants to use? Well, I don't even think Monty knows about that, speaking of terrible coaches. Who's getting boosted? Well, Dante Exum closed for the Mavs last game. It wasn't Derek Jones who moved into the starting lineup. It wasn't Josh Green. It was Dante Exum. I don't think we're adding Dante Exum outside of like 20 teamers, but he scored well. And if they're going to close with him, that's very interesting. Asar Thompson's also getting boosted. They're playing him he played 43 minutes, I think, last game. From a guy that was getting like 17 minutes and being pushed out of the rotation by coaching legend Monty Williams. I don't really understand why it's happening, but it is. Now, we know that Asar's going to have problems with efficiency. That's just a given. But at the moment, the minutes are there and they're pretty spectacular. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Our partners at eBay Motors have teamed up with me to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week all season long. So when you're out there scouting the waiver wire, getting to get those victories for your fantasy playoffs, we're going to give you players that are guaranteed to fit on your roster. So eBay's guaranteed fit fantasy pick of the week, we're going to go to Vasilije Micic. Tre Mann might not play. LaMelo Ball's out. Cody Martin's out. Seth Curry is out. Micic is a high assist, decent usage point guard who's going to have a pretty strong role for at least while these guys are out. And I just don't think he should sit on any waiver wire. I don't think that Micic is a world beater or anything along those lines, but getting 7 assists, 16 points, 2 threes, maybe 2 threes, he's hitting like 25%, maybe it's 1 3, a steal, That's enough, man. Like, that is plenty of value. Micic sits available in 80% of fantasy leagues, which is an insanely low number. He just needs to be rostered. And getting a player like that, honestly, I know that it's hyperbole to say league winner. It might be at least week winner. Getting someone like Micic in at the moment could push you through to the next week of the fantasy playoffs. And that might be a perfect fit. And eBay knows that it's the same for fantasy, but it is the same for your vehicle. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you can make sure that your ride stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED headlights, roof racks, bumpers, whatever it is that your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it is guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Plus, at these prices, guess what? You're burning rubber and not cash. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Guaranteed Fit is only available to US customers, eligible items only, and exclusions apply. I think I'm going to read one of those ads in a Christopher Walken voice one time. We'll see. Exclusions apply. It's early. Boston and Phoenix. The Celtics are a pretty tough run here. They're the Nuggets, now they're the Cavs, and they have the Cavs, then now the Nuggets, now the Suns. They got Saturday game, obviously, then 4 games next week. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. Monday, Tuesday, back-to-back time. Porzingis, Horford probably sit one of each of those games. Which one, I don't know. You use Horford when Porzingis is out. You use Porzingis every time. The Suns play Saturday, and then they got 4 games next week, but it's a weird... They start Monday, and then they don't play Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, Sunday, they end the week with 3 games in 4 nights. Neemias Cato is going to be out for Boston. Devin Booker, it looks like, will be doubtful. He did some first time back on the court today, and they said he's going to be listed doubtful. That means he's likely to return Monday, which is 9 days after the original injury, which is smack bang in that 7 to 10 day window that they initially announced. So Booker's doubtful. Nasir Little's out for a bit of time. Damian Lee, he had the meniscus. He must have the meniscus repair because he's been out all season. And Josh Okogie is unlikely to play. Jaylen Brown scored a ton last game. Unfortunately, his free throws have been a disaster all season, and they were terrible in that last one. So let's just watch what is Jaylen going to provide for us. Well, for the Suns, Jusuf Nurkic, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster for Nurk this season, but he's still providing really strong numbers. His assists have been intriguing. With Booker out, we'll see whether that continues to stay high. Guys getting boosted. Well, for Boston, it's always hard to find, but Xavier Tillman, the cashier, he got the backup minutes over Luke Cornett last game. So those of you in deeper leagues, 120-team leagues, you might want to look at Xavier Tillman. While obviously the Basmati man is the guy there in Phoenix, not Eric Gordon. It is Royce O'Neal. He's getting big minutes, and as long as Booker is out, we roll with O'Neal. And when Booker returns, we hold O'Neal, and then we make a decision after that. The next game is the San Antonio Spurs and the Golden State Warriors. Injuries playing a part in this game. The Spurs go Saturday, and then they have Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Sunday. The Monday game is a rematch against the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors play Saturday, then of course on Monday they play the Spurs. And they only have 3 games next week though, so Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. Pop said yesterday that Victor Wembanyama was going to probably sit this game, so I'm just going to rule him out. And then he said he would likely return Monday. So a little bit weird that he returns Monday as a back-to-back. Does he play Monday, sit Tuesday? I hope not, but it is possible. Chetty Osman sprained his ankle last game. I don't think he's going to play. And we just got update there on Steph Curry. They said MRI came back clean. He's expected to miss a few games. So we'll say Steph's out here. He'll be out on Monday, I guess, and then Steph likely returns for Wednesday's game. What is on my radar? What am I watching for the Spurs? Trey Jones. The minutes are well down. And you know my thoughts on Trey Jones. I've been very clear about my thoughts on Trey Jones. The Spurs don't view him as a long-term starting point guard. They paid him as a backup point guard. They refuse to start him all season. He is just not that good. He is totally okay as a backup point guard. But obviously, he was better than anything else they were chucking out there. And the team improved when he played. But now they're sort of fading away. They're going to a bit more Branham, a bit more Vasilije point guard, getting a little bit more Blake Wesley in there. And they're just trying some other things out. If you're in a dynasty format, there is no chance that you should be viewing, I don't think, Trey Jones as any sort of long-term starting point guard. I don't think that is what he is. If he's playing 23 minutes a night, it is impossible, I think, to keep him as a 12-team must-roster player, Trey Jones. So that is what we want to watch here. The thing that's the complicating factor there, I guess, is how good the schedule is. With the 4 games next week, you probably hold on through that, but it's getting a little dicey. For the Warriors, Andy Wiggins, they were 2 bad games. Came back, played limited minutes, did nothing. Then they go 3 games next week. If Wiggins plays like 20 minutes in this game on Saturday with no Steph, I'll say see you later.
Get that garbage out of here.
Guys getting boosted. Well, it's very, very clearly Zach Collins with Wembanyama out. Deeper leagues, you go to Domi Barlow. the Trojan. And then I think Brandon Podziemski is going to get a boost. You say Chris Paul, but he's rostered everywhere. Moses Moody maybe gets a couple of extra minutes, but they were running this pretty deep rotation. So Podziemski is going to get that boost. The other guy to look at is Chase Jackson-Davis because with the NBA, it's not quite the longest. I think it was the second longest games played streak. Kevon Looney, it's over. Not because he got injured, because he's bad and he got benched. And Kerr DMP'd him, which I've said for the last 6 weeks that he's playing 5 minutes a night so he can keep the streak going, which I believe was true, but Kerr just finally ended it yesterday and said, you're not playing, you're done. So that means that Jackson-Davis, who's been the best center on this team for 2 months, very easily, Steve Kerr takes a long time. He took 3 years to get Moses Moody into the rotation. He took 3 months to get Brandon Podziemski a solid role. It took 3 years to get Jonathan Kuminga into a starting job. And it took a time here to get Jackson-Davis over Šarić and over Looney, but we're here. Both Šarić and Looney were DMPs last game. So Trace is getting... Now, he's not getting 25 a night, which would make him a must-roster 12-team league player. But in 18 a night, it's interesting. Now, if they had the Spurs schedule, and this is a long diatribe on Jackson-Davis, but it's important. If they had the Spurs schedule here of the 4 games next week with a Saturday game this week, I would say you might even consider adding Trace and holding on through the time. But with 3 games next week, he's more of a spot stream player. But I'm very interested in his minutes. Very interested. And with Steph out, they're going to be running Chris Paul and Draymond basically as the point guards. Does that mean there are some more minutes available for Trace to play at center? I don't know, maybe. But anyway, he's putting up some good numbers. And yeah, Podziemski should get some extra value there as well. And we need to see if there is any impact on old mate Andy Wiggins. Toronto and Portland. Oh, what a exciting game this will be. The Raptors play on Saturday, then they've got 4 games next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. The Blazers play Saturday, and then got 4 games next week as well, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. But when you look at that, you'll say that they've got the same schedule. Portland's is better because their 4 games ends on Saturday, Toronto's ends on Sunday. The more you can squish games in means that if you've got a Portland guy, you can drop him on Saturday, then add someone else in on Sunday and still get the benefit of the extra games. Really good schedule for Portland. The problem is I don't know who's going to play. DJ Carton, he missed the last game for the Raptors. Imagine that I'm talking about him as a real player, but he is at the moment. Bruce Brown's missed the last few. I'm currently listing him questionable. I don't feel really good about it. I don't know that he's going to play. In fact, I think he probably doesn't. And then we get to whatever it is that is the Blazers. Ayton is doubtful for the game on Friday, so I'm going to put him as questionable. I would say there's a significant chance he doesn't play. Jeremy Grant has soreness on Friday. I don't think that he will play on Friday, Jeremy Grant, meaning that he is a 50-50 chance of playing on Saturday. But if Jeremy Grant plays on Friday, there is 0 chance he plays Saturday. Like I say 0, it's a very absolute number that gives me no wiggle room whatsoever. So let's say 0.01. That was me just saying a lot of zeros really fast. Chance of him playing. Like there's no way Jeremy Grant plays both these games. Like absolutely none. Toumani Camara, illness, man. The tuberculosis has really hit hard. We'll see whether he's available. We still don't know about him for Friday or Saturday. Jabari Walker popped up with a hip issue, which is not ideal because he'd be the guy that steps in with Jeremy Grant out. So if Grant and Walker are out, you're going to have obviously Dwop Reith playing a ton of minutes at center. That means that Ibu Baji or Moses Brown gets the backups. But who's the 4? Like, who the hell is the 4? Like, Chris Murray is not really a 4. I guess he would have to be. Toumani Camara would play, I guess, some at the 4, which means there's more for Murray. There's more for my man Ryan Rupert to get minutes at the 3. Yeah, it would get pretty ugly. And then Scoot. Now, Scoot's not going to play on Friday. He's doubtful, but the aim is for Scooter to be back on Saturday. I didn't go as far as labeling him as probable, but I think you can look at that. If we're going to use scales, and you can get confusing. We've got the probable, questionable, doubtful scale. And it would get confusing if I started putting up PQs, like questionable but on the probable side, or QDs. And, questionable on the doubtful side, which is what I think probably Ayton is. So I would say that Scoot's a PQ. As I say, that introduces more complexity, and I just spend 2 minutes explaining that that's the way I'm going to list them. Anyway, Gary Trent's what I want to watch in Toronto. Tons of shots last game. Not much else. Now, Trent doesn't do anything else. Points, threes, and steals. That's about it. Terrible defender that gets steals. Last game, he didn't get them. But with everyone out, there are more shots and more minutes available for him. In terms of guys getting boosted, we saw Grade A Dick play 30 minutes last game, and that is enough. Now, the problem with Dick is that he just didn't do anything else apart from shoot and shoot poorly. The 30 minutes, though, more than Ochai Agbaji, is the way it should go. And I would hope that we get 30 minutes of Dick in this game. Like, I know that some of you may have received 30 minutes of dick in the past and you haven't been happy with the results. And I hope that we can get a better outcome from more dick in this game. We will see. I wouldn't be absolutely tripping over my dick to get add dick, but as a stream guy, points and threes, free throw percentage, I'm interested. The 4 games next week, I'm interested. And if he plays 30-31 again over Abaji, then I'm more interested as well. And then Dwop Reith, obvious boost. I don't know if Aiton's in. I don't know if Grant's in. I feel like I'm going to be saying that every time Portland plays. But Reith is the guy we look at as a usage center who's a points guy, gets some threes in there, blocks some shots. Doesn't really do much of the rebounds, but he's an interesting high usage center, which, again, is a little bit anomalous across the NBA. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. When you are hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that fit your role perfectly. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. Hated hiring people when I was working in that sort of a field. Well, not a field, I was a pharmacist, but I was responsible for hiring people, sifting through resumes, and you're applying, or you're putting out an ad there, we need a pharmacist to come and work, and the person goes, yeah, I actually worked for 2 months at a supermarket. Bro, you're not a pharmacist. Waste my time. With LinkedIn Jobs, that isn't just another job board. You have a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. It gives you access to professionals that you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all of that while making the process easy and intuitive. Hiring is easy when you've got that many qualified candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86%, very specific number, of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. They've got 2.5 small businesses as well that have been using LinkedIn for hiring. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnba. That is linkedin.com/lockedonnba to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, LinkedIn Jobs, I think needs a new tag. I'll workshop it with them. We'll come back with something. All right. Last game of the day. We've got the Utah Jazz, the Denver Nuggets. This could be, I would say, relatively ugly. The Jazz play Saturday. We know they've already had Thursday and Friday off, and then they've got a dreadful Thursday, Friday, Saturday schedule next week. So between Saturday and Friday, within 7 days, there are 3 games on. Not very good. Now, their schedule starts to get better because we're right in the middle of their stinking part of it, but yeah, still not great. The Nuggets play Saturday and then 4 games next week, and they've got the perfect spread out schedule. Game off, game off, game off. Sunday off, Monday game, Tuesday off, Wednesday game, Thursday off, Friday game, Saturday off, Sunday game. Bars? Walker Kessler did some practice. It looks like he might return, but we don't really have any news on Lauri Markkanen. The Finnish military legend is dealing with quad soreness, so we'll see how long. Right, look, is he going to play again is the question. I say yes. But if Markkanen doesn't play, say, leading up, the next 2 games, if Markkanen doesn't play those next 2 games, I'm comfortable with saying I don't think he's playing again. That'll be my guess. I would expect, and I'm going to put him in all the stream of the day things later on, I would expect that Keyonte George plays. He had the illness. It's been a week. It would be a pretty long-term thing that he's not available. So I think that he'll be ready to go. And Taylor Hendricks will be out. Bryce Sensabaugh double-doubled last game. That was with no George, no Markkanen, and no Kessler. I would expect Sensabaugh stays in the rotation. Does he start, though? That's the question. And is he worth using? I would say at this point he's not. The schedule's bad. The uncertainty around George, Markkanen, and Kessler is still there. But we absolutely just need to be watching Bryce. I think he's going to be a good player. And I really, interestingly enough, at draft time, the Jazz had the 3 first-round picks. I loved their draft, and the player that I didn't like the most was Keyonte George, who so far has been the best. I was like, yeah, I'm not sure about him. He might be a bit of an inefficient chucker. Loved Sensabaugh, loved Hendricks. And we are starting to see a little bit, well, we did start to see a little bit from Hendricks and a little bit from Sensabaugh now, and I think they're all going to develop into good players. For the Nuggets, there's not a lot to look at here. Honestly, Aaron Gordon chucking down one of the biggest putback dunks you'll ever see. Him and Nikola Jokic. It's just much watch TV because you're going to see these insane connection alley-oops every single game. And yes, that was a pass from Jokic. It wasn't a shot. In terms of guys getting boosted, well, it is Keyonte George. He is running the show, assuming he is back, which we are assuming. Let's see the minutes, let's see the usage, let's see the assist numbers, let's see the shooting. I'm pretty excited about what he brings. And then the headmaster Jamal Murray is getting a little bit more offensive responsibility at the moment. He does go in waves, same as Michael Ponder, but it seems to be a bit of a Murray period at this stage. So let's go in and take a look at schedules and how we can play through those. There's only 2 teams with a back-to-back. As I mentioned, it is the Nets and the Clippers across the Saturday, Sunday back-to-back. But let's look at the next 4 nights, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. There are 3 teams that play 3 games. Boston, the Clippers, and the Spurs. So the Clippers go the Saturday, Sunday, then play Tuesday. And then obviously the Celtics and the Spurs go Saturday, but then play Monday, Tuesday, back-to-back. Now that's going to open things up in Boston with Horford and Porzingis sitting or playing only 2 of those 3, I'm guessing. The Clippers should be pretty good to go. And then Wemby's going to miss one of those games for the Spurs. But that means your Branhams, if you are going to take the chance on Malachi Branham, now is it. 3 games in 4 nights. Now is the time. Zach Collins, you get at least 1 game, maybe 2 starts. Now is the time. And there are 5 teams that play 1 game in the next 4 nights. So if you've got fringe players from any of these teams and you're looking to make switcheroos, this might be the time. The Hawks, the Lakers, the Heat, the Pelicans, and the Magic. The Magic, it's the backup centers. It's Badadze, it's Wagner. The Pelicans, it's like Jose Alvarado, Najee Marshall. Probably not Trey Murphy at this stage. The Heat, it's your Caleb Martins and Jaime Jaquez's. The Lakers, it's your Rui Hachimura's. And the Hawks, if you did stream a Bruno Fernando, it's him. Honestly, for Atlanta, I can't really say you dropped Clint Capella, but I don't know. It's not like he's been playing well. Let's look at the next 6 nights. So we're talking Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week. So we are starting to seep into a significant chunk of week 20 now. There are 5 teams playing 4 games in 6 nights. Boston, Chicago, Dallas, the Clippers, and the Blazers. So they're the advantage. And remember, what we're always trying to do is gain 2 extra games played with each waiver ad that we use. I can't tell you the exact strategy for every league because your amount of waiver ads per week changes, and that changes how you use things and the depth of your league and how many spots you're going to open up for streaming all changes. But as a general rule, you want to be able to get 2 extra games per waiver ad. That's how you max it out. So if you swap a Boston, Bulls, Mavericks, Clippers, or Blazers player in for anyone on these 7 teams, Atlanta, the Lakers, the Heat, the Wolves, the Pelicans, the Magic, and the Jazz, well, you're gaining those 2. And remember that the Lakers and the Wolves have only 2 games next week. So that's where we've got the 3 games in 4 nights for the Wolves here Thursday, Friday, Sunday this weekend. That when you do move on from a Kyle Anderson and Naz Reid, yes, Naz Reid would be move onable from, I believe. Again, everyone is frothing this guy to the most unbelievable degree I've ever seen. And I think he's just having a completely mid-season. But even last game, he played 26 minutes off the bench and had 13 and 6. Is that awesome, is it? I don't know. Why am I so off on Reid? Why do I feel like I'm just seeing something completely different? I don't know. Anyway, you got 7 different teams that you can drop guys from to add one of those 5 teams to get a +2 advantage over the next 6 days. Where it gets interesting here, though, so I've just spent a lot of time on that 6-day period. The next 7 days, so Saturday through to Friday, we've got a +3 situation, and you don't get these often. The Clippers play 5 games in 7 nights. We all frothed the Nets and a 5-game week. This is a 5-game week for the Clippers. 5 games in 7 nights. And the Lakers and the Wolves have 2 games in those 7 nights. So flipping a Rui Hachimura, a Kyle Anderson, a Naz Reid for a Norman Powell, maybe it is, and if it's a Zubats. The problem with the Clippers is they don't have many of these guys. But is 5 games of Terrence Mann better than 2 games of Kyle Anderson? Yes. Is 5 games of Norman Powell better than 2 games of Naz Reid? Yes. +3, 1 ad, 7 days, pretty good value. You don't often get the +3 valuation there, but you do in this period. And then if we extend it out a little bit more, so we go Saturday to Saturday, the next 8 days, there are 4 teams that play 5 games in 8 nights. Charlotte, Chicago, Clippers, Blazers, and there are 6 teams that go 3 and 8. That is Atlanta, the Lakers, the Heat, the Bucks, the Wolves, and the Magic. So if you've got Jalen Johnson, you're not missing a huge amount if he is actually out this time. It's only 3 games in 8 nights. But I'm not when we're talking playoffs, if you're looking 8 days out, it does get you can gain 2 games here easily. But that's not the most ideal way to use your waiver streams. And tomorrow, Week 20 show is coming, and we'll talk about the best way to maximize games played through Week 20. But if you are talking longer value here, looking through the week, you're fine in Week 19, you're going through to Week 20, you can take a bit of a longer approach if that's what you want to do. Let's go to the points league streaming for Saturday. I'm going to put Zach Collins at the top here with no Wemby. We're going to look at him. I've got Keyonte George there, and he's going to appear on a lot of these. He's got the little asterisk there because I don't know that he's going to play. I believe that he will. Vasilije Micic is there. Grant Williams is there. Trace Jackson Davis is there. Now, this is not every single option. It's just to give you some options who are highly rostered, like George is 53, Micic is 20, Jackson Davis is 10. Just across different league types. And the other one on the bottom of that list, he's asterisked as well. It's Sterling Henderson. I think Scooter's back on Saturday. Now, I think he'll be somewhat limited in minutes, but if he was playing 33 minutes, Scoot would be up the top there with Zach Collins. But I think he's going to be back, and I think he's going to be worth grabbing. And the Blazers have, as we've said, a very good schedule. The ESPN points league list for Saturday is very, very similar. We've got Zach Collins, Keyonte George, Micic. I've got Brandon Pajemski in there as well. Trace Jackson Davis and Scoot Henderson as options to stream in for ESPN points. Those of you in category leagues, let's look at the scoring categories. Again, we look at the standard league sort of a guy that's below 60% rostered, and then a deeper guy who's below 30% rostered in all of these categories. So we go on Keyonte George for points, and then for deeper leagues, we go to Lonnie Walker the fourth. If you're looking at threes, Davis Bertans, well, he's just going to be available everywhere. But if you don't get Bertans, Keyonte George is going to be your next best option. But Bertans will probably hit 4 threes and have 12 points and really do nothing else with that. For some big man stats, if we look at rebounds, it is still Big Dick Nick Richards because he's still going to start. He's still going to play 28 minutes and he's still got a chance of getting double-digit rebounds. He's not awesome, but he's solid in the categories that he's solid at. And then for deeper leagues, it's Trace Jackson Davis. And then for blocks, it's the same. It's Richards, it's Jackson Davis. Standard and deep league formats. If we go to guard stats, for assists, I think it's pretty obviously another Charlotte Hornets guy, Vasilije Micic, with the chance of Trey Mann being out as well. And Keyonte George, a nice assist player too. For steals, Gaz Trent and Matisse Thybulle. Thybulle, obviously, this is what he does. He's going to get you steals. You might get 6 of them, honestly. And that is absolutely huge. And Portland has got a good schedule. Not sure if you heard. In terms of field goal percentage, well, Trace Jackson Davis. Yes, we're talking about him a lot. And Nick Richards there in the field goal percentage boost zone. And for free throws, we're going to Keyonte George and Grade A Dick, 2 rookie guards. Lastly, stream of the day, I am going to put Keyonte as my 10-team stream of the day, even though there is some doubt that he plays. I think he will. 12-team, I'm going with Nick Richards. 14-team, I am going with Trace Jackson Davis. And 16-team, it's Davis Bertans. I know it can be frustrating that players are injured at this point of the season. We have just copped an inordinate amount of injuries at this portion of the season. There's been a couple of them which are foolish. It is the Markkanen one, the Ayton one. They're a bit not like, that's ridiculous. Like, you could argue they're fake. But I will say this. All of the other injuries that have befallen us at this point of the season right now and make you lament head-to-head playoffs in fantasy, it's got nothing to do with when you play the playoffs. This could have happened on the 1st of December, the 1st of January, opening night. It could have happened in the playoffs, the real-life playoffs. It's got nothing to do with, well, you can't play head-to-head because look what happens in the playoffs every year. Evan Mobley, Steph Curry, Jalen Johnson, Karl Anthony Towns, none of these have anything to do with the time of the year that we're at. It just all happened, just smacked us all in the face all at once. Trae Young, just again, all this stuff just happened now. Embiid. None of it has got anything to do with the fantasy playoffs or having them at this time of the year. Markkanen, I'll grant ya. Ayton, I'll grant ya. I guess you could say LaMelo Ball, I'll give you, but look, he's been out since January, so it's not really the same thing, is it? Also, LaMelo Ball. If you are still watching this in the comments, where will you draft LaMelo Ball next season? I saw there was a thread on Reddit saying, they wouldn't even draft him in the 7th round, which is the perfect way to lose at fantasy basketball. He is going to be, I'll call it now, LaMelo Ball is going to be the absolute steal of next year's draft. People act like he's never played. The man was an all-star in year 2 and played 75 games. He was an all-star in year 2 in 75 games. Top 15 player, I think he was in fantasy that year. So don't act like he's never done it. I don't know why I'm getting so angry here. That is how you lose, by avoiding guys like that, and that is how you win, by taking flies on those guys when they fall too far. And that is the end of a daily streaming look ahead. Get angry about LaMelo Ball. Drop it down in the comments below. Look forward to hearing your outrage. Guys, you know what to do. If you hate LaMelo Ball, you have to subscribe and you have to hit thumbs up here. If you love LaMelo Ball, well, you have to hit the bell. It's just the rules. I don't make them. I only enforce them. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. See yous.